So if you sell a high ticket service or a high ticket product, a huge factor in your success is going to be your relationship to social programming. And this relationship that I had to social conditioning, I call it social programming, social conditioning, social narratives, is going to have a direct effect on your ability to sell. And I had a relationship with social programming, and then I deprogrammed myself from thinking the way that society wanted me to think, and I made a whole bunch more money. And I'm going to explain to you exactly how I did that, exactly how you can do that yourself, and some of the lessons that I learned along the way. And I went from being a sales rep who was at 2 to 3K a month, and I originally got into high ticket sales because my dating coaching business had completely crashed down. I had completely failed out, separated from my business partner, owed him a bunch of money, and I was like virtually, essentially at zero, a couple $100 away from being at zero. And then I got into sales, got destroyed, and I was not good. I thought sales would change my life. I thought high ticket sales would change my life the way many of you I thought that it would for you, but I wasn't making any money. And then after 4 months of rewiring my brain, understanding the sales game, I went to 18K, my highest earning month in commissions in February of 2024, and became the top closer on my offer, consistently doing 15K plus months. And then I built a sales consulting and a sales coaching business that hit 38K this past January, 38K in a month, by the way. And I've made close to $500,000 over the last 18 months, give or take. So I want to explain to you, and the video that we're going to get into, the training here, is really going to be about behavior and about understanding your own behavior, understanding your own inputs, and understanding how to hack your mind and unprogram yourself or deprogram yourself, decondition yourself from being aligned with society's expectations of you and who you should be, because that has a direct effect on your ability to make money, which I will explain to you. The first thing we need to do before I go into any deprogramming, we have a lot to get into here. There's 3 specific programs that I'm going to give you that you need to unplug from that are going to change your entire game, and they're going to change the way that you relate to making money in sales and in business, but this is specifically for sales reps. So I want you to start with yourself. Before we look at these social programs and what you have to unplug from, start with yourself. You need to look at you. And that's the whole premise of this training. This training is not like society is the one that's making you the way you are, stopping you from making money. It's your relationship to society. Because what's happening is you're running on programming, and I was running on program. I'm talking about myself here and you, but I was in this position a while ago. You were running on programming that does not help you have success. Okay, and I'm going to explain what those programs are in a second, but the programming that society gives you and tells you who you need to be, how you should act, how you should think, how you should communicate, how you should express yourself, how you should be, that programming does not help you have success, especially not in an industry like sales, especially not in this industry like remote high-ticket sales. It's actually very antithetical to your success, and I will explain and prove to you on this video. We have a formula called opportunity times skill set. The thing that's going to make you money in high-ticket sales, it's going to make you money in this space, is going to be opportunity, finding the right opportunities, or having the right kind of skill set. It's actually a combination of both, but one of these 2 things is going to anchor you and drive your success forward. The easiest one to control is skill set immediately, because you can train and you can actively make yourself better by training your skill set correctly, right? But what's going to happen is opportunity normally is going to follow your skills. So take Henry as an example. He's a client of mine. He's in our protocols program. He just had a 2K commissions week, right? And he's on a really, really good offer, but it's because he prioritized his skill set first. And he had been in a bad position until this point in his sales career, and now he's making a whole bunch of money out in Mexico. Dude's on vacation while printing money. My dog's going crazy behind me. But he's making a bunch of money, and it's because his skill set, his opportunity followed the skill set that he had invested in the training that he had made, right? So your opportunities are going to follow your skill set. The best closers who are on the best opportunities have earned those opportunities by having a good skill set first, where the person who's hiring would want to hire them in the first place. So the first thing we need to look at is like what you can control. And that's what this video is about. This video is not about you just like, oh, be good at sales and work hard. It's about controlling the inputs, controlling what you can control so that you can have the maximum amount of success and the most control over your sales journey, over how you make money. And the biggest power you can have in this game is deprogramming yourself, which I will explain to you. You have to deprogram yourself so that you can create the conversations, you can create the closes, the dialogue with prospects necessary to close consistently. And the problem with me was when I got into sales, I also was programmed societally to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to play it safe. And again, I'm going to give you these things in a second. I'm going to give you 3 specific programs you need to unplug from. I was programmed, but I did have an advantage because I had been a dating coach. So my years of being out, as we would call it, the field of, connecting with women, approaching lots of girls, or doing cold approaches in the street, saying hi to women and teaching my clients how to do the same and get dates from it, meet girls, that kind of hardened me and helped me understand how communication and leadership really, really worked outside of the narratives that society just puts on us. So I want to make that clear. The place I was starting from when I first got into sales, it wasn't good, but I had a good baseline because I had been a dating coach for so long and I had been out collecting data about human behavior and understanding how humans, both my clients and the women that I would talk to, how they work. So it allowed me to get better at sales faster. There's a couple of societal norms, traditions, and beliefs that are hardwired into you through years of social conditioning, which again is what this training is about. And I want you to understand that most of these, they don't help you. It's not even that they don't help you, it's that they actually make your sales game worse. They especially don't help you in sales. An example of this, a silly example that some of you already know, is the idea of getting a degree, right? Like, go get your degree, go to school. You guys, I'm sure everyone here knows that. You don't have to get a degree to make money. And it is good to get a degree depending on the industry that you want to go into. Sure, I'm not against that, but you don't need to necessarily get a degree. Whereas in society, you're taught, hey, the primary way is go to college, get your education, and you'll be set for life. And then a lot of those people come back and want to get into remote sales or want to get into ecomm or want to become a copywriter. I talk to these people all the time, right? I got my degree and now I want to get into remote sales because after 10 years of working, 5 years of working in the corporate world, I realized it's not for me, right? That's an example of social programming that doesn't help you. So let's look at the programs that society places upon you and the narratives that you've been conditioned to believe that are not helping you to get to where you want to be. So program number 1, and this was my biggest problem when I was in sales. This is the first thing that really stopped me from making as much money as I could until I deprogrammed myself from this and changed my entire reality, as it were. Number 1 is be liked. Be liked. This is the first program that society tells you is true and tells you that you need to follow. Be liked. Your goal on a call, your goal in communication is to be liked. For me, it was so important that my prospects liked me. I needed the people I was talking to like me, right? I needed them to come on the call, and I would have this happen. They'd come on the call, and at the end of a call, I remember my first offer, it was an appointment setting biz op, where I was helping, I wasn't doing it, but I was closing, and I was helping people become appointment setters. And our offer was, you pay $5,000, we teach you how to become appointment setter, and we place you on an offer as an appointment setter. Terrible offer. Wasn't great at all. But what happened was, I would get on those calls and I would get people giving me think about it objections, I've got to talk to a partner, and I would never ever handle them ever. My close percent was like 5 to 10, if that. I don't think it was even 10, it was like 8, 9%. It was absolutely atrocious. And I was having good conversations with people. I was having nice conversations. They were thanking me for giving them ideas, for giving them insights. There was a lot of laughs. They were like, you've been so helpful. I'm so glad I talked to you. I feel, so aligned, all these things they would tell me, but I was not making money. Why was I not making money? It was because it was too important to me that my prospects liked me, so I wasn't setting a standard and driving the call forward the way it needed to be driven forward, and thus I wasn't getting paid, right? The idea of not trying to be liked, it doesn't mean, hear me out, it doesn't mean that you need to actively be disliked. So on my calls, it's not like I'm trying to get someone to not like me actively. I'm not trying to get someone to hate me. But being liked is not something that you need to optimize for. Does that make sense? So I'd get on my calls and something that was my priority was like, how can I make sure me and this person have a good conversation? And my prospects, the people I would talk to and wouldn't close, would then validate that. They'd be like, you've been so helpful. You're not pushy like other sales guys. Now that I'm really, really freaking good at sales and I made a bunch of money and have helped other people make a bunch of money as closers and business owners, agency owners, I've helped all those people make money with sales. Now I hate when someone tells me that I'm not salesy. I'm like, dude, I want to be salesy. Literally, wink, wink between you and I don't want to be the weird, sleazy sales guy. Of course not. But when someone tells me like, you're not salesy at all, and I feel no pressure or need to change, I actually get mad at that because I'm like, oh, damn, is old Tim coming back? Is the Tim who would just tell jokes and try to be liked, is that guy coming back? Because I don't want that version of me to come back because that version of me was not making money, right? So what we're trying to do is we're not trying to not be liked per se, but we're also not trying to be liked, because trying to be liked, it actually works against the mechanics of sales. What you're doing is when you try to be liked in a sales process, in a sales call, you're committing energy to a process that actually holds no value for the sales process. Does that make sense? Right? So when you're like, I'm trying to be liked, I need people to like me, I need someone to like me, you're committing energy to a pathway or to an outcome, aka trying to be liked, that actually has no value for your sales process whatsoever. Zero value. What I want from you and what will help you, and this is what helped me get really good, is be likable. Be a person who is likable, where people are like, I like this guy, I like this girl. Be likable, but don't try to be liked. There's a difference. If you're stuck saying like, how can I make this person feel comfortable and feel great on the call? If that's where your energy is committed to, that's coming from a place of fear and avoidance. And society tells you, they tell you, you need to be liked. You need to appear as likable as possible. But just be likable. Be someone who is likable. Be someone that people like to be around, without actively investing time, energy, or conscious thought in trying to be liked, because it doesn't help you. And this leads into program number two, right? The societal program that keeps you held down. This is the second program. A person knows if they'll buy or not. This is a lie that I've heard perpetuated throughout society, especially since being in sales for the last 2 years. And people have constantly just said this and repeated this. I'll hear people say, oh, I would know if I'm going to buy or not. The reason I bought this product is because I had already made up my mind that I was going to buy it. Bullshit. You have hindsight bias. You did not know you were going to buy the product. Maybe you had some level of openness towards making a decision, sure. But trust me, I've been on enough calls where I've influenced people in specific directions where previously they had thought that they were going to walk away without making change, and then by the end, they were swiping a card and they were making change, and we were helping them make more money, lose more weight, date attractive women, build a better business, whatever it would be, right? I've had many closers who have been through this. I've been through this, where we've gotten data to show that you are influencing someone to make a yes or no decision, right? So a person knowing if they'll buy or not is simply not true. It does not work this way. People will not just know if they're going to buy or not. Sometimes they will, and most of them will not, though. Most people will not. There's a few people who will come on the call just warm, but it's so statistically insignificant that it doesn't matter. If you're taking 80 calls a month, let's say, even 50 calls a month, however much volume you're getting, 100 calls, you have to assume that almost everyone on that call needs to be influenced in a specific direction, which is for commitment, which is for making change, which is for investing in a product or idea or a service or a program that is going to help them make change. And that is going to help them, their business, their family, whoever it is, be in a better position. I'll give an example of this, like a little case study. My fitness trainer, this is a bad case study. My fitness trainer, he had this belief. He would always tell me, and shout out you, bro, you know who you are. He's great. This guy is probably the best trainer I've ever worked with. Really helped me get way stronger in the gym, got my lifts up and all that. So great dude. And he's one of my closest friends, actually. But me and him would always talk during our time together, and I would always wonder, because he was basically the best trainer in our gym. Literally, the other trainers that are in the gym that I go to, some of them are okay. You know, there's guys that have really good strengths, and everyone has different weaknesses. But this guy, Stefan, that's his name, he's like the most well-rounded trainer that I've ever worked with. And he's so talented, so intelligent, and really understands the science of the body. And he's such a great trainer in terms of optimizations. And I got way stronger within, give or take, 6 months of training with him than I had with any previous trainer, and I had 3 more trainers before him. I had gotten injuries with other trainers, all this stuff. So I'm like, dude, you're so good as a trainer, why do you not have more clients? Because he would go to the gym, and he had clients, you know, he was making decent money with it, but I'm like, dude, you could kick all these other trainers' asses, the ones in the gym who are promising all this BS, you could kick their asses and you can make more money than any of them. Why don't you have more clients? And it's very interesting because he has this belief. And if you're watching this, Stefan, know I love you, bro, but we've talked about this. He had this belief that the people who will want to work with him will make it happen, right? He had this belief like everyone will be like me. Because the way I did it was, when I wanted to work with him, I went up to him and I was like, hey, bro, I've seen you training here. Meaning you've talked a couple of times. Can I book a session with you? How does it work? Let's rock and roll. That's the kind of buyer I am, right? And sometimes, by the way, in other situations, I'm not that kind of buyer, where I do need not to be convinced, but I do need to be led into making a buying decision through the right information, you know, the right kind of programming on the call. That's a real thing for me, even as a prospect. And what's interesting is I would always tell him, I'd say, dude, go after people. You see a guy who's struggling with a certain workout and his form is terrible and he clearly wants to lose weight or clearly he wants to get stronger. go and just be proactive and say, hey man, super random, could I give you a bit of just an idea? I'm a trainer here. I just saw something you were doing and I feel like you could probably max out your strength even like 10, 20% more just on this lift if you did it a different way. Could I just show you a little thing if you don't mind? With that tone, that energy. If Stefan did that fucking 10 times a week or more, probably more, 20 times in the week, you know, whatever, 2 times he's in the gym every time, and built a portfolio of people he was talking to, this dude to print. And he was already making money, but he'd make way more money and probably kick ass in the gym and beat all the other trainers out and get as many clients as possible. But he didn't because of the belief of if they want to buy, they'll just reach out. But buyers don't normally perform that way. Most people need to be primed to buy, specifically a high ticket investment, something that is, even if it's a couple $100, most people will either buy because they have an extreme need, sure, right? Like, let's say me buying a new TV. My TV breaks down, like I'm in the market, I want a new TV. The lady over here does not want me to buy one. She would like me to invest in other furniture instead before we get the new TV. Because this one's not terrible, but I want a new TV. I want like a big fucking 85-inch TV. It's like huge. I think 85 inches, something like that. Could be getting it wrong because I live in Europe, so I'm used to centimeters now. Anyways, you get the idea. So for me, I want a TV, I don't need one, right? So I'm not gonna actively go and buy a TV. If like the TV salesman calls me and is like, hey, this is super random, but we're giving a discount on some of our newest items in terms of like TVs, is there any way that you might be on the market for one within the next, like, let's say month or two even, for a really, really high quality TV? Let's say he lists all these cool specs. That guy is going to have to talk me into making a commitment where I'd make a deposit or pay half of it or something and get the TV, because I'm in a space where I could go either way right now. But if I have the right dialogue with someone, I'm going to go get the TV, right? So this belief of a person just knows if they're going to buy or not is based on the societal belief, the general programming that people often hold. And it's a very passive programming. It's a very sit back and wait programming that you shouldn't just handle objections. You shouldn't go for what you want because things will happen when they happen. This programming, this thinking is highly avoidant of responsibility, hyper avoidant. And I want you to understand that, again, a small percentage of prospects are already committed and bought in, a very small percentage. Let's say 5% of people are just going to do it from knowing, hey, what's the details and how much does it cost? I'm in. It's statistically insignificant when you're on higher volume calls. So as a closer, you literally can't afford, we just trained on this in protocols, my training program. You literally can't afford to not handle objections. As a closer, as a business owner, whoever you are, agency owner, coach, consultant, high ticket closer, you cannot afford to sit back and allow objections to just go unnoticed or go unchecked or go unhandled. You can't sit back and let the prospect make their own decision. No, you have to use psychological framing, leadership, and handle objections, get someone over the line, take their money and have them make change. Because what I believe in, and this is what helps our people make a lot of money, guys like Henry, right, like who are making good cash now, guys like Jabari, who's about to have a case study on the channel because he hit 10K, so you guys will see that really soon. He's been at 8 to 10K for a while now, and I just didn't film a case study with him because I'm like, you got to be at 5 figures, bro, before he puts you on the channel. But he's amazing, he's killing it. You have a high degree of influence on your calls. The person you're talking to on a call, they cannot see the future that's ahead of them. They cannot see it. Right? They can't see it. So you have that degree of influence. You have a very high degree of influence on your calls, and you essentially have the responsibility to get the person to a future that they cannot specifically see or that they may not be directly aligned with. That's another piece of programming that society is giving you to hold you down. They'll make a decision whenever they're ready. Bullshit. The amount of people who have came on calls telling me, I'm not here to make a decision, man, and then they left and me swiping a fucking card for $7,500. If I let those people go because they weren't here to make a decision, I would have made, I don't know, probably 5K a month less in commissions every month, right? And that's just people who said I'm not here to make a decision. There's other people who gave objections later, and I still handle those, right? You have to be proactive and take leadership if you want to make money, if you want to make good money. I'll give you program number 3. Program number 3 is powerful, and it's going to it was probably the most important thing for me in my journey just as someone in the high ticket space. You know, even back as a dating coach, selling my own offer, I wasn't making a bunch of money. I would do 10K a month, sometimes 5K, 10K. That's what I was doing. But even then, I needed this mindset and to deprogram myself from this one I'm about to give you. Before I give you this, I want to let you know about something super cool. I have a newsletter. And on my newsletter, I give away free training on mental programming when it comes to sales. I break that down. I break down objection handling. I show you live calls that I have that I don't put out on YouTube. I have some live calls on YouTube, but I have other ones that are on the newsletter that you can see. I have live trainings, me training my people in protocols, and me going through objections, me going through leadership frameworks, me going through discovery frameworks. All of that I have broken down in the newsletter, and I send you value either every day or every week. I write the emails myself. I don't have a copywriter doing it. People have asked me, hey, can I write your newsletter like for you? But I want to put the value out myself. So it's a lot just straight from my mind, stuff that I'm not really sharing here on YouTube. There's no sales there. Maybe every other email I'll say, or like every 5 emails, I'll say, hey, feel free to book a call with our team. But like I do on YouTube, I don't sell you anything on the newsletter. It's just straight value. And then you people, whenever you want to reach out and have a conversation, work with me and have us make you money, you can do that, right? So I would recommend going and check out the newsletter. It has the most value in the sales space for high ticket sales reps, coaches, agency owners, anyone who wants to make more money with high ticket offers and products. I would check it out. Link is down below. Protocols newsletter. It's free. Just put in an email and your name, and it's sending value right to your inbox. Okay, program number 3. Let's clear this one. This is a big one. Money is bad. This is the third programming. The third piece of programming that society tells you that keeps you held down, that keeps you broke, that keeps you broke and underperforming. Money is bad. Most of us are raised with guilt around wanting or having money. And I want to be clear, this guilt is not always something that's very obvious. It's not always like, you should hate money because money is the worst thing in the world. It doesn't always sound like that. So I'm not saying your parents programmed you like, money is evil. It doesn't mean that. But there were subconscious conversations that you heard. You heard these conversations subconsciously. There were subliminal messages that were given to you as a child growing up into adulthood that caused certain kinds of guilt and certain kinds of programming, aka what we're learning here, societal programming against money, right? You heard statements like money doesn't grow on trees, right? You heard that one. I know I heard that from my mom growing up. I don't know if y'all did, but I know I heard that. Do you think money grows on trees? And I didn't grow up, in the super ghetto or anything. We lived in kind of lower middle class. I grew up initially in Brooklyn, kind of the ghetto, until age 12. And then we moved to a nice neighborhood in Jersey, a small house in a really nice neighborhood because my dad started doing a little better in his business. He left his job and went and started a business, and we started making a little more money. So I lived in a decent home, like an apartment inside of a home, someone else's home, in a nice neighborhood in Jersey, right? So I saw both sides, and I never ever had privilege. My parents only had one car. I had to earn everything I have. I think my parents helped me out with rent once when I was 20. I had gotten kicked out of my parents' house. That's a whole other story. But I got kicked out, and they helped me with rent 1 month. And that was after that. I kind of took care of everything else myself. But yeah. So you heard these things growing up. I know I heard that money doesn't grow on trees. Don't talk about money. Stop being so fixated on money. Some statements like rich people are greedy. You're right, hearing like that rich people are bad. The rich. You're not a part of the rich, right? What happens is this guilt, this subconscious guilt and resistance towards money and the negative beliefs around money, it bleeds into your sales calls. And it's not like it bleeds in where you're even aware of it. It's unconscious, but you start to hesitate when you're pitching. You start to go into the lowest pricing tiers. You give lowest pricing tiers. You start to play small, right? And this happens on your sales calls. It happens while you're selling people, while you're dropping price. It happens while you're trying to close because you have this subconscious programming. You have it embedded in you since childhood. It's a real thing. I'm telling you, it's a real thing. And a lot of y'all deal with it. I know you do, because deep down, here's the problem. Deep down, you feel like asking for money means that you're taking something from someone, right? When you ask for money, you don't feel comfortable saying it's going to be 10K. And I know you guys do. And that's why some of you do that weird thing, that weird closing thing where you guys say the price, you're like, it's 10K, and then silence because you're uncomfortable talking about money. So you create extra energy and extra awkward energy around it so that you can appear like you're comfortable talking about cash when you're not. You're super uncomfortable talking about money because you don't believe you deserve to make money. That's the reason why. This programming doesn't help you. What we need to realize instead, and the other level of consciousness or identity to get to, right? The other side of this programming, when you unplug from it, as I did, and this freed me, is realizing that closing is an act of service and that money is the receipt of that commitment to a specific result, right? So money is just a representation of someone committing to a certain path. If one of y'all, some of you guys watching this are my clients, you know this. If one of you guys pay me, do you think I feel bad about it? Fuck no, hell no. Because I know over the next year, I'm gonna make you more than 10x actually, because our program is a couple grand, our base level program. So if you worked with me, you did what you're supposed to do, had a little bit of luck, you always need a tiny bit of luck in any industry, in any space, but that happens when you put in more work. Luck is kind of a given. You would probably make, I'm doing some basic math real quick, within a year, probably a 20x or 20, maybe let's say conservatively, like a 15 to 25 times multiplier in what you pay me, right? And a little bit more if you depending on the program that you do with us, right? I'm not telling you anything. I'm just talking to those of you who work with me. You know this. I take your money very happily, very much. I will, because I'm gonna work my ass off to get you where you need to be, right? So I used to feel like asking for money was a bad thing. I used to feel awkward about charging. I used to feel awkward about quoting prices. I used to feel awkward about, I need to quote someone this price and have a conversation about the money with them within 45 minutes? Oh my goodness. And the reason I felt that way is because my money mindsets, my beliefs around cash were just very poor. And again, I didn't grow up in a home where they would demonize the rich and people, maybe you did, but I didn't grow up in a home like that. But still, the money wasn't encouraged. It wasn't like, hey, we can all get rich because cash is not a big deal. Cash doesn't matter. Now what's so funny, the way that I spend money, the way that I invest in myself, like I don't even think. I do think a little bit, but I just dropped on a 35K mastermind just after hearing about the mastermind for 2 days. I was at the event. The second day, I just jumped in and I went for it, right? Because for me, my relationship to money's changed, where I recognize that money is a tool and money is just a representation of certain commitments and certain investments to play the game the right way. That's all it is. If you didn't grow up with this, you're probably still attached to that subliminal programming of money is bad, right? And I didn't start making real money, and I'm talking in the last year and a half, 2 years, until I reprogrammed my beliefs around money itself. And I'm building an offer right now that's 20K. And I've consulted on offers that are 15 to 20K, right? I've helped other business owners sell offers that are 20K. On the dating offer, I started selling 20K packages. I remember one of the most mind-blowing moments I had was I piffed. I got a pay in full for a 17K program. Dude paid on the call. We had a 2-call close. I triaged him. It was technically 3, but the first one was 15-minute call. Second one, I broke down all the things in terms of deliverables. He said he would need to think about it and run it by his brother, who was like a kind of a mentor, like a person to him. I pushed him hard in objections for like 15 minutes. He didn't budge, so I booked a follow-up in, and on the follow-up, he paid the whole thing in full. All right, like at 17K, I got 2K in comms for that because it was a bonus for getting the PIF and for closing that offer, the elite program. I'm telling you, like, the only reason I was able to do that is because I worked on my beliefs around money, because I stopped thinking that money was bad. So even if you're a sales rep watching this, or you're a business owner and you think you're in a good place and you're like, no, I can quote price. Really do a deep dive. Sit and meditate on this. What are your beliefs around money? What do you think about cash? Do you believe you actually deserve to make money? Do you believe you are someone who deserves cash and deserves money? And if you don't, if you find yourself running into some barriers and you're still succumbing to that programming, you may need to have some clearing that needs to be done. You may need to get in with the right people. You may need to start having better conversations. You may need to start having better influences. You may need to start doing some inner work. You may need to get better at fucking sales, because when you get better at sales, that's when you start to change your beliefs as well. Just technical, getting better at the skill set, getting better at the game, as I did. That's it. I'll leave you there. Hopefully this made sense to you. Hopefully it landed. I don't make these videos just for my health. I make them for 3 specific reasons. My primary reason is because I like to teach. I'm a teacher by trade. That is my primary skill as a coach. And I love to coach and give information that I feel will make you money. That's my primary reason for doing this. That's number 1. Number 2 is to build my brand, because I want more people out in this space to know the value that I have to bring to the world. Because I had to work very hard on that, not thinking I had a lot of value. And recently I've been falling into that acceptance, going back to programming, right? Societal programming with myself. I can realize, Tim, you have value and you are creating value for other people and helping other people make lots of money and helping them change their lives, both their mindsets, their behaviors. And I get messages like this from my clients all the time. People that are in our protocols program who love what we do and love our mission, who are extremely grateful, and I'm grateful to work with them, right? There's that. And the third piece is to make money. All right, I'm not going to sell you anything here, but if you like my stuff and you keep watching me, you're like, hey, maybe this guy can actually make me some money and change my life. Maybe this is the call that did that for you. And if so, you could book a strategy call. It's not a sales call. You could book a call with my team down below. It's like 15 minutes. We'll talk to you and see where you're at, if we can help you at all. And if we feel like we can, if you feel like we can, then we'll invite you to book a demo call, which that's a sales call. And then we'll handle all your objections and get you into our program and help you make a bunch of money. But that's that. Link is down below if you want to talk to my team for 15 minutes. Or join the newsletter. Either way, hey, have an amazing day and go make some money and clear these mindsets, clear this programming because it's not helping you. Goodbye. See you next time.